there we go.
Okay.
Maybe, hopefully, it's gonna work. There we go.
Okay.
Welcome in, everybody. Normally, I welcome everybody that's watching on YouTube post afterwards, but nobody's here, so we don't even have to talk to anybody.
Sorry, YouTube.
Great fun.
Welcome all the people who would be watching on YouTube who can't watch on YouTube.
Right.
What do you think Nate's on? I bet you Nate's on probably. His Fatal Push. Brant, what?
So this might be his blue-black depths.
Oh, okay.
Deck.
It's got to be okay.
It's a fun deck. It's challenging.
It's got that one card, Grim Discovery. I remember when Grim Discovery came out.
I kept citing that out when I played it.
Oh, really?
I never once successfully Grim Discovery.
It's a reverse 2-for-1. I mean, it sounds good on. I mean, if you go immediately Vampire Hexmage Dark Depths and they kill it, then you just get it back and do it again.
Yeah, perfect.
And it's perfect on paper. And you know.
Let's see if I can edit this at all.
He was pretty high on this deck on after Eternal Weekend.
Yeah.
From everything he was posting about it.
We get the digital life counter and everything. So the deck's kind of cool. It's like Turbo Depths, sort of, in that you're just trying to hex mage out and copy a Dark Depths in 2020 for the win. But you get blue for filtering and for Force of Will. That's kind of it, right? In a nutshell.
I mean, the funny part
you get him to Turok as well, which is that's not in Turbo Depths, is it?
It's not. It's not. I don't think they play it. No. Well, if you didn't know what he was playing, this sure looks like Miracle Storm or any blue deck.
Yeah.
So that's the interesting part is the blue aspect to it.
And you get that for a while because you can go Brainstorm, Ponder, Thoughtseize,
well, even
into
Swamp. The blue-black shell is not really foreign.
Yeah.
I mean, people may think you're blue-black reanimator if they think something tricky is going on, but let's see here.
Let's see if we can make sure we're actually live here.
I was going to say, I didn't get a notification. Oh, I got a notification right now. Literally just got one. Okay, there we go. We got 4 viewers.
You guys are here.
The interesting thing is, so I feel like everybody always this is a sick Captain QC. He's not feeling so well. So we're gonna get him for the whole 4 rounds.
Well, we shrink your chat down. We're using the old school chat window instead of this other thing. I don't know. I don't even know what this matchup. Is it good for one over the other?
Well, the thing is, usually these depths matchups kind of. The reason why these depths matchups did so well in Eternal Weekend is there wasn't that many Swords of Plowshares, there wasn't that many Wastelands, and the thing with Zach's deck is it has Wastelands, so I don't think Nate runs Pithing Needle, because you know how usually the slower depths, the black-green ones, run the 4 Pithing Needles?
Yeah.
So he doesn't have that, so all of Zach's depths are live, and also Stifle is really good against Vampire Hexmage, and Zach has 3 Stifles.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where I think if you're going to play a Delver deck against this deck, you want to be playing some sort of 4 Stifle, 4 Wasteland version because you're able to interact with their combo too much. And I don't think Nate can really stop it. He can stop Stifle, right? But he can't force a will Wasteland, which I think is going to be the issue.
Yeah, and Nate's deck does play. Let's see. So let me update this thing. It's blue-black depths. He plays 1 Wasteland.
Yeah,
which is tutorable.
Yeah.
And I don't have the full list in front of me. Of course, you can also stage a Wasteland and slowly build your combo if you have time, right?
It's kind of funny because I think this is more kind of control. I mean, if you kind of want to joke around with the names, because you've got, you got turbo depths, you got slow depths, you got medium depths, and this is probably like controlled depths because you have your Baleful Strixes. You're going to go at a slower pace, but you're going to be a little bit more controlled about it. You're going to Thoughtseize. This is running Thoughtseize. You're going to Force the Will. You're going to Brainstorm Ponder. So this is like your controlled depths. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think what we may see is Nate be able to recover maybe off of the Wasteland and the Stifle and maybe finish the game that way, where the other decks really can't. But we already see the Wasteland, which is interesting because generally, if he doesn't know about it, you almost want to just save it, right? Because if you just wait till the Hexmage to resolve, or wait for the Thespian stage to try to copy a Dark Depths, because at that point, Nate doesn't really have he doesn't have crop rotation, so there's no way for him to interact with kind of an instant speed. So
maybe that was just hoping he never hit a second land.
Maybe.
I played the deck last Friday and didn't do hot with it, but I found that exact thing that I should have waited. I should have been more patient. I was in like turbo depth mode. Oh, go as fast as I can. Wait, I've got all this stuff. I can wait for a duress and a Thoughtseize and then pull the trigger. I can just hold up these cards in my hand. Yeah, I think Nate knows what he's doing a little bit better than I did with the deck.
Well, this is something entirely different that you're not going to see in the other depths list. Is you're going to see a Fatal Push followed by a Baleful Strix.
Right.
So I mean, that's going to buy a lot of time, and a lot of these times where the combo matchups really get scary is where you kind of exchange resources with the other player, and you get to the point where you're both kind of top decking, where you top decking into your combo becomes a little scarier because they're trying to they want to get a threat to kill you, but then they also don't want you to combo, so it becomes kind of awkward. So we've kind of already seen him deal with. It looks like Zach only had one threat, so now they're just going to be playing a lot of draw go, and it's just
Yeah, Zach there was probably hoping he'd crack some maps and he'd get to stifle him. And instead, Nate has another Baleful Strix.
Gosh, that's really good too, being able to stifle the map. Just basically losing 3 mana for 1 mana just doesn't seem like a good trade-off.
Especially where he has been missing land drops, right?
The one thing that's a little unfortunate is all Zach's removal, which usually is really bad against Turbo Depths, becomes a little bit better because Baleful Strix. Because even though it's not good, you're not looking at a positive interaction.
Sure.
It becomes something where it allows you to actually interact a little bit more. There's the Dead Weight.
Dead Weight. Get to use it. Get to put it in the graveyard. Get to grow a Goyf.
So he's got, you couldn't ask for a better hand. He's got 3 Wastelands, 2 Stifles, basically. And he's already used 1 Wasteland, so he's got 2 more Wastelands, 1 in play.
Nate doesn't know about the Stifles either, right? Is he just playing around them?
I think Nate does. I think because he knows Zach well enough where I think he's aware of Stifle and playing around it. But, he hasn't seen one. But.
Yeah. He hasn't actually looked at his hand yet. Uh-oh. You're used to waiting in game 3 where I'm very focused on the actual gameplay. That's usually how that works, Casey. Right around round 4 when it devolves into anything but Magic.
We'll do like a halftime show, Captain QC, where we'll just talk about nonsense.
Yeah. This isn't actually me.
This is actually not reality. This is actually this is LSV, and I don't know who's like an LSV friend. Yeah, Gabby Sparts. I guess I'll be Gabby Sparts, and you can be LSV. This is standard.
Part of it too is that we see a lot of the same matchups on Tuesday nights.
Yeah.
And so it feels like I just keep repeating myself. Whereas this is something new and different.
Yeah.
And it makes it more intriguing to me. It's fun to see Stifle and Wasteland and Days again. That's old school legacy to me.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure why Dell. If you look at the Eternal Weekend results and you look at the last Legacy results, you're just not seeing Delver. And I don't really, I don't really understand why. Because I'm my main deck right now is Grixis Delver still, and I don't know if you remember, but after the GP, so Cuneo wins the GP with Miracles, and then like a few pros like BBD, and Mengucci published articles basically talking about the meta. And they all rate Grixis Delver super, super high. And it's kind of strange to see just in our meta and then other metas across, the world have just kind of gone away from these Delver variants. I think what kind of happened is I think a lot of people moved away from Grixis Delver to Canadian Threshold, were really underwhelmed, and then kind of played the mental game of, well, Grixis Delver is definitely worse than it was when Deathrite was around, so I probably should find a new best deck. So I think that's kind of the reason why you're, Yeah, that's true. That's a really good point. Because these Wasteland decks aren't around, people are playing Check Pile. And I think if we talked and said, hey, Deathrite gets banned and Check Pile is still really good, I just don't think that universe exists. Because, you would be crazy not to play it. You'd be thinking, are they playing like Birds of Paradise? Are they playing something strange? But, that's kind of the nature of Legacy, though. You'll probably see people play a little bit more Delver, a little bit more Wastelands, You're going to get some guy who plays, Miracles with like 3 Wastelands, and, weird stuff will happen. But the thing is, back to basics is still good against Pile. You know.
So Zach there takes him to Turok with the Thoughtseize, even though Nate hasn't had a second black this whole time. And I guess that's just because, like you said, his hand is stacked against.
Yeah, I just
Nate's
don't think
deck,
he's.
right?
I mean, it sounds kind of weird, but the only thing that can affect his hand out of all those cards was him to Turok, right? The other cards like Force of Will and Vampire Hexmage, he has answers for. So I think Zach's probably line of thought is, I've got multiple answers for what Nate's trying to do. So if he wants to force something, I'm kind of okay with that because I'll just have another one of it, and then he'll 2-for-1 himself. Mm-hmm. But this is kind of what I talked about. You notice, see how they're both playing pretty much draw go, but one of them can win a lot easier than the other one. The other one needs guys, and that's a problem with discard. Is you can't discard the top of the deck. I mean, well, I'm not advocating Mill because I don't think Mill's that great, but still, it's one of those things where, if Nate just starts going runner, before you know it, if there's one expedition map, that could be it.
And this is where that group discovery might actually matter a lot.
That's a good point. Can you repeat everything in the last 2 minutes? I was making myself a sandwich. I'm not gonna.
That's great. If only this was like recorded somewhere where you could rewind it and go back and watch it.
What kind of sandwich are you making? That'll be our one off-topic thing is what sandwich are you eating at the PC?
And is it really a sandwich if it's in Canada?
I actually think he's lying. I don't think he made a sandwich. He's sick, so he's probably making soup, and it just, I don't know. Is he from like French Canada? So he's probably making something with mayonnaise. You're advocating Lantern of Insight.
Why did I let Nate play this deck? This is Nate's creation. So Nate went and played at Eternal Weekend, and he got so frustrated playing something
legitimate.
He's playing Agrelon.
Yeah, he's playing Agrelon.
That he was like, finally, he said, "Hey, I'm gonna just build this thing," and so there's a whole article on Eternal Durdles of him. It's where the deck list is posted, and he's talking about it on their podcast. And he went 3-0 with it in a side tournament.
There's Zach. So now Zach's got a clock. He's got the Fatal Push for the Strix, so it'll be interesting to see. If you're Nate, do you think you force a will to Fatal Push?
Yeah.
I think you have to.
So this is a stifle on the
I don't know.
Fetch land?
I think I would have let that go, but because I think he's just feeling taxed on mana.
Well, he'll be able to map.
Okay.
And then Hexmage and win, right?
Oh, this is interesting. Remember, he's got the second stifle, right?
Yeah, right.
So,
but Nate doesn't know that. Nate still hasn't seen his hand this whole time, even though he's sitting on.
Is that a mana leak? That's not a mana leak, is it? That sure looks like a mana leak. That's
what I thought it was too, and I wasn't going to say anything because I can't think of what it is though. I wouldn't be surprised if he's changed his deck list, right? He's been playing this a lot.
That's got to be mana leak. I can't imagine it being any other card. That's an interesting one. Mana leak, huh? Why not? Double blue is a little difficult for him, so I can understand it. Yeah, I think it is.
I don't think we have an updated list from him. It's cute as like a one of.
Right? Yeah, I mean, I don't play around Mana Leak. I don't think anyone plays around. It's sometimes difficult to play around Spell Pierce and almost sometimes unreasonable. So a lot of times I would think it's more apt for people to play around Days, but yeah, I can't imagine anyone who plays around Mana Leak. So I mean, it is basically a hard counter. And I suppose if you're at the point where Mana Leak is they can pay for Mana Leak comfortably, you're probably losing that game maybe anyways.
Right.
So you're kind of.
Except for these games that are going to draw out, like we were saying. Mm-hmm. If they're fast, sure, Mana Leak's great, but the longer the game goes on, Zach's sitting over here with 5 mana.
Yeah, and that's for a Delver deck too. Keep that in mind. If we're talking Miracles or Grixis Control, 5 mana is fine, but when your Delver deck's at 5 mana, so.
Yeah, so here he expedition maps for a wasteland to set up the next map for depths. And then he's got a Hexmage in hand.
And Zach still has 1 stifle.
Right.
Yeah.
And a
Fatal Push.
Not useless Fatal Push.
Nate being at 17 is pretty comfortable, though.
Yeah, this is the first. I mean, Zach played a Goyf earlier, right?
So you got Fatal Push.
It died, and that was it.
Take down the gun, see. So we get some men out of this.
All right. So what does Nate? Ooh, he's gonna run out of Hex Mage. Okay. Don't kill me.
Oh, okay. There's another expedition map. You know, I hate to say this, but you know what card would be really good right now? Grim Discovery.
Right? Perfect time.
Just to kind of rebuild, get back your Hex Mage.
Yeah, you can get Stage back. You can get. He doesn't have a Depths in the graveyard. I made a mistake playing one game. It was post sideboard of, hey, I've got this Grim Discovery. I want to make it work. So I'm going to run out my Dark Depths into his Wasteland. Let him kill it.
Yeah.
And then next turn I'll get to Grim Discovery and win, right? And of course, Surgical Extraction was a card. That game plan failed miserably.
Sometimes cards that generate value, because the value is not so obvious that you have to get it, I feel like kind of gets you in trouble. I mean, it's kind of like if you look at certain cards where it's like, well, this is a 2-for-1. Like, everybody should play it, but then it ends up having... Like, Painful Truth is my favorite example. If you go back and look at articles from like 2012, people think that card is just going to be the next Legacy Nutso card. And just, I mean, I can't name a deck that plays Painful Truth today.
Right.
And it's just one of those things where, yeah, it's a 3-for-1, but, you know, you got to tap out on 3 and, you know, pay 3 life. And at the end, it's just not worth it. It's interesting how a lot of these things on paper look so good. And then when you get into the gameplay, they become so much clunkier.
And Sorcery Speed is a thing, right? For sure.
If Grim Discovery it's not if it was instant, it's not instant, right?
No,
the sorcery.
I think so.
If it was instant, that would be. I don't know. It's still.
I'll check.
There's Abrupt Decay on the map. Oh, on the Hex Mage. Okay.
Yeah, so he Fatal pushed the Baleful Strix to get him with the Gurmagnealer because he had an Abrupt Decay. Otherwise, he would have done that. Grim Discovery is the first card that pulls up when you type Grim.
Oh, really?
No.
Not Grim Lavamancer?
No, there's like 18 before that are more popular. Yeah, it's Sorcery Speed.
Yeah, like I said, Thomas Marr is one of my favorite Magic players when it comes to Legacy. He's the guy who created Czech Pile. He's from the Czech Republic. That's why the deck was even called Czech Pile. But he was one of the guys who's been kind of championing the flag of Czech Pile still, and he top 8'd the MKM over the weekend with the namesake of the deck. So kind of that may be one of those things though where there's a few people who are really good at the deck, and when you're the guy who like made the deck, you can play the deck forever and be good at it, but then like it's not for everybody else.
Bay Area, welcome in. So we had the Stifle on the second expedition map. Nate top decks a Fatal Push for the Delver, and he cracks his other map for a Dark Depths.
So we're basically, it's going to be a
Hex Mage or lose.
Show me what you got type
or thing. Stage or lose, right?
He needs something. Grim Discovery would be good here. Because you get back another Underground Sea and then Hex Mage. So.
Yeah. He didn't draw.
He did not draw.
No. I mean, he had a lot of outs right there. I guess if
he needs Zach not to flip
the second Delver hadn't flipped, he still would have lost.
That's a tough one because it's just one of those things where, I mean, that's the thing about Delver is you have this net that kind of catches a lot of weird stuff, and playing cards like Stifle, Wasteland, and Dazes, you kind of get decks like that where if he was on like a Grixis Control variant or like a very mid-rangey deck, there's a good chance Nate just grinds him out and wins that game because there's no sideboard cards involved. But Delver kind of has the sneakiness of being able to just kind of interact more so than anyone else. So it kind of, you have to realize we saw 3 Wastelands and 2 Stifles, and those are really good cards against Nate, and that's 5 cards that Zach had, and that's game 1. So it's going to get even worse for Nate, but to give Nate credit, I mean, he probably was, probably one of those cards not resolving away from winning the game too.
Yep. And the Mana Leak Zach didn't.
Yeah, that Mana Leak
saw it, and he never got to play it either.
So Zach can, so Nate can continue to get you with the Mana Leak.
So our backup match, where we would normally switch over, is already done. One of those players is a burn player, and they got finished quick. Maybe they're both on burn. I don't know.
Burn versus burn.
They just picked up their playmats and walked away. So we're gonna stay here, watch these guys sideboard.
Yeah, I guess so. Okay, so you've played this deck before. So what's with the information you have? What do you what? I mean, what would you? How do you sideboard against this? So you know he's got wastelands. Obviously, you have the stifle. So what's the direction you're going to go with the sideboard?
I don't have the sideboard. I don't remember it. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Shouldn't take too long to pull it up. I was having trouble sideboarding this deck because most of the things you don't want to side out.
Yeah, it seems like you dilute the combo too much. I don't know if you like cut one stage or you cut a Mana Leak. I could see that, maybe like a Grim Discovery. I mean, what is Nate expecting? He's going to expect Zach probably is going to board in Surgicals. So I wonder if he has some sort of interaction to prevent like a surgical play. One of the cards I see that Nate's bringing in is Engineered Explosives. Which is kind of interesting, but at the same time, Goyf's 2, Gurmag Angler is too much, and Delver's 1.
Right.
You know.
If you get it just right and get a 2-for-1, fine. Otherwise, it's just another removal spell.
Yeah. I mean, it's not Death Shadow. If it was Death Shadow, then you're basically getting half the deck, except Gurmag. Or getting more than half the deck.
I'm not going to succeed in the internet today.
Sign in Blood. I forgot that's a card. So you can sign in blood your opponent. That's why Captain QC uses it.
Yeah. If you had a Pithing Needle, that probably would come in for Wasteland.
Yeah, absolutely.
The deck has, it's the standard, like, do you have Fluster Storms instead of, do you side out Force of Wills?
Yeah.
But it's a weirder deck in that you want to protect the combo and you want to do it kind of fast, so you like Force of Will.
Yeah, I remember when I played Show and Tell one time, I cut my Force of Wills for like Flusterstorms and Spell Pierce, and I remember I played against Josh, and Josh told me that was wrong, because he's like, well, what if you just have it? You just want to be able to force it? But I was like, yeah, but if I'm like a combo deck, do I really want to be 2-for-1ing myself? So I want to be like super efficient? And it's like, that's the one problem I've always had with combo decks, is there's that like stage in the game, kind of a pun because this deck runs Thespian stage, but there's like a stage where you have to kind of put your big boy pants on and just go for it. Yep. And I just like struggle with those interactions because it's just like, well, what if he just has it? Then I'm just like dead in the water.
Yeah, and since I don't play Show and Tell or those quick combo decks, I'm not sure when it is correct to side out Force of Wills.
And then you'll see all these, this math where it's just like, when do you go? Do you wait for getting a counterspell of your own? Do you wait to Thoughtseize your opponent? And then you read like math data where it's like a 43% chance your opponent has Force of Will. And it's just like, someone told me you're going to win the lottery 67% of the time. You probably want to play the lottery as much as you can. So,
All right, so Nate gets a map down. Zach gets a Delver down.
I think we'll see a crack of the Expedition map here just to play around Stifle.
Yeah. I know Zach has Force of Will, Stifle, and a spell.
And a Wasteland.
It's got all the things.
Abrupt Decay too, so we can even get...
Doesn't crack the map.
Maybe he's waiting for upkeep. I think it's another Force of Will too.
Oh.
Let's see.
Goes for it. End of turn. And Zach lets it go. Okay.
Zach may be thinking just saving the Stifle for the Hex Mage. Is the only thing I can think of.
I think that's incorrect.
He's got a lot of answers, though.
Yeah.
So he's basically maybe just choosing which ones he wants to use first and which ones he wants to save for last. I don't know.
Yeah, like if Nate just had it here somehow, which he couldn't, Zach would be able to force whatever thing happened.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And stop it still.
Yeah, because he gets the Hex Mage and stuff like that. And the card actually, Nate kind of, I wouldn't be shocked if he boarded it out, but him the Torok would be pretty good in this situation because you really want to. I think it runs into a daze, which is kind of unfortunate, but you really want to start just attacking Zach's answers. But then again, I mean, there's a 3/2 Delver on the field, and Nate's already at 14. I mean, does Nate have time to beat 2 Force of Wills, a Stifle, Daze, and
right.
and a Wasteland?
Well, with Baleful Strix and Fatal Push, he certainly does more than most other decks like this, right?
And it just seems kind of weird because at this point where you see almost either 2 or 3 Vampire Hex Mages, it's kind of strange because it's just like, at this ponder, are you pondering for more combo pieces or are you pondering for a Fatal Push or a Baleful Strix? Right. And then it just starts getting kind of strange. Which
is what makes this deck fun, I think. I'm not sure. When I was playing it, I wasn't sure what I was supposed to be doing and when. It was not clear.
My gosh, there's another. I mean,
it helps when you have information, but we haven't yet seen, like Nate's first build. He had Inquisition of Kozilek. He had Thoughtseize. You got to see your opponent's hand. That helps a lot when you're deciding which mode. How long do I wait? How quick do I go? All right.
So this is the end of the turn still. There's some trickery going on. Nope. No trickery.
Yeah, Zach can just play the old Delver game where you have this one threat and you just protect it.
Yeah.
And then you win.
I think runs Uborg, right?
Yeah. Yep.
He's still got a few turns. I mean, the good thing about Bug is there's no reach. So, but then again, Grix has probably poured out their lightning bolts, so that's not a lot to say. So, what's a stream? Oh, a stream. Okay.
A stream. Hey, Jorgensen, you found us.
He's talking about a stream. Like,
move along. Yeah, here's a awkward Hex Mage just hanging out, not really doing anything.
Gosh, 2 forces, a spell pierce, a daze, and the stifle, right?
So if this resolves, Nate could lay down Dark Depths, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you get the weird waiting game of, hey, there's a Wasteland on one side, but if Zach Wastelands first, he can make a 20-20, right? Nate's got a Wasteland of his own, so if he wanted to right here, he could, if this resolves, he could go Dark Depths and then pass the turn.
Here's the force.
It's not going to do that. Zach's got too many answers.
Now, Nate had 2 Hex Mages, right? Because remember when he pondered, he saw 2?
I think so.
So,
I mean, there's too many cards in his hand already.
The interesting part will be here is this Wasteland. If he goes for the Wasteland play now, if it gets stifled.
I don't think Nate can mathematically do this, but we'll find out.
Zach's trying to count. Oh, Tormaglyph, that's not like him.
Yeah.
I think he probably won't play it though because he needs to keep up Stifle and Spell Pierce. More so Stifle, not really Spell Pierce. So Forcible with Spell Pierce, okay. I wouldn't be shocked if we see. Well, Zach knows that Nate has the Dark Depths. Does he know that? Because the first map.
Yeah.
So this second map, I wonder if Nate tries to just bait him to see if he can get him to use the other Stifle on this map.
I think Zach's got to screw up at this point. It's not clear, but I think Zach.
Does Nate have like a Mazavith? Can he get like a Mazavith?
No. Not that I know. I mean, that Mana Leak was not in his list he posted, so some things have changed.
He's thinking. He's looking at his Wasteland a lot. He said, "There's something about this Wasteland." There's another Hex Mage. Maybe.
Yes. Yeah. If Zach had all of those things, which he did.
Zach also must be maybe on the line of, hey, I'm just gonna kill Nate in 3 more turns. So if I just force the next 2 things that happen, I think I'm okay in Wasteland and Stifle. I mean, there's a lot needs to go wrong, but Nate does have some plays. Here's what he gets here. The one thing that's kind of interesting is he could have cracked it at the end of the turn to save the 2 mana. So now this makes his turn a little bit less explosive or efficient, but...
Well, you can go get another Depths right here. And then...
I'll tell you one thing.
Zach has to have it.
It seems like the card that we want every time is Grim
Discovery. Where's maybe they got cut out of the deck, and that would be sad.
I would keep looking for him, and I mean, this would be a good spot. You play the Dark Depths. He's got another Dark Depths, right? So yeah. Zach's probably going to Stifle or Wasteland. You kind of hope he Stifles because then you're well, no, because it's not enough turns.
All right, so it goes to hand, but Nate has. This was his land for turn.
Hope he does on his upkeep. Or just does it during Zach's turn so that way he can't play Glyph.
Goodness, Zach just has every answer. Every card is an answer to Nate's deck.
Abrupt Decay. I can't imagine this matchup getting that much worse.
It's kind of important. we can make sure.
Yeah, we can verify.
Yeah, I'm not sure that there is a worse matchup than exactly Zach's deck.
We'll grab Nate after this, and maybe he can like kind of walk us through what as the why is our mana leak in his deck? Why didn't we see any Grim Discoveries? Now, what was that?
That's a stage. That makes things a little bit interesting. He can now try to copy the depths, and then can't he?
This is tricky.
Yeah, the triggers get a little bit more.
I think he
curious.
wants one more turn because I think he takes this and he needs the wasteland. I think okay, we're just gonna go for it. No, you gotta stifle. You got it. You can't wasteland here because the stifle doesn't stop it. Well, he'll stifle the Thespian Sage trigger. I think you would have just waited.
Yeah, I think you could have done that reversed.
Because what if Nate has a Spell Pierce or a Force? Well, okay.
So the Dark Depths dies to Wasteland. The Thespian Stage doesn't have any. It just got stifled.
No, absolutely. I think.
But then Nate has another Depths in hand. So we're just going to see a Tarmogoyf for the win?
Maybe. I think if you're Nate, do you just go to 2 and then you wait till you can play your Wasteland, because then you can you initiate it with the Wasteland and then you jump the Hex Mage, and then at that point he'll stifle. No, okay, you're still behind.
I bet the needle on top.
That's not good.
You should have green in that depth deck. What's the green for? Ingenuity. What do you need green? Just for crop rotation?
Tarmogoyf, so you can just erase him.
Because Tarmogoyf and your Baleful Strix just works really well.
Yeah. Just eventually.
I've got lands, artifact, creature. It's a 3/4. For Loam, no. Well, he's playing Grim Discovery, as his Loam target.
It's just strictly better than Loam because you back a creature. Okay. It's a Force of Will. Gosh, I think. I don't see why you don't. Oh, he's got an Abrupt Decay too. Okay, yeah, just let it go. I don't.
So Nate gets to lay down a Dark Depths here though, and he still can make a 20/20, right? But Zach has another Stifle.
He's got a he's just
answer every time.
He needs something.
Evil. No, I mean, no.
We could just play like Baleful Strix, Tarmogoyf, Leovold, Liliana Lasso.
Maybe take out the Dark Depths.
So that Battle of Wits bug deck runs all that stuff. So,
there you go.
You can just do that. Okay.
Oh. So this is interesting. Yeah. And he still has enough mana to activate.
There's some good and bad news. Or does he?
Yeah, because of the Urborg.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, right. Yeah, okay. I wonder if he Spell Pierce. He may just Spell Pierce it.
Yeah, Zach still has way too many choices here.
He's just going to force it. Okay. Because then he has one more Stifle still, right?
Yep. Oh, he does it here. So Nate's hedging that. Okay, well, Zach maybe would draw a Stifle, but if he doesn't know he's got one in hand,
and also
he's got it.
Zach has the Abrupt Decay too.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. Every single
he literally. I mean, I can't. Just his efficiency of this game was just ridiculous.
Yep.
Literally every card. The last card in his hand is Abrupt. Oh, Tarmogoyf. So Tarmogoyf could have been something. Tarmogoyf would have been like Life from the Loam. That would have been insane.
So he stifles the Thespian Stage copying effect there because you can't stifle the Dark Depths making a 20/20. That doesn't work. It just continues to make it.
Well,
afterwards.
That wasn't necessarily close.
It felt close.
It felt close, but I mean,
if Zach didn't have exactly those cards every time,
realize any of the cards he brought in, we'll have to get Nate in a second to see because we have a lot of time. Oh, we got 12 minutes. Yeah, Nate can kind of talk about this deck a little bit. I wish we saw Nate's deck versus another deck because it just seemed like the angles were just lined up properly. No matter what alley Nate tried to go in to sneak around Zach was just kind of there waiting with like an answer. And, it makes you wonder the cards that Zach boarded. If you look at the cards he boarded, I boarded out like a few days is like a a dead weight and stuff like that. So it's just one of those things where even the few cards he didn't really do anything, which actually did stop game 1 because he dead weighted the Baleful Strikes and other things. You know, it just became way better. So yeah, that one's interesting. Here, I'll go. So I'll grab Nate, and then we got to figure out the Mana League question, right?
Oh yeah, it's very important.
Do you want to talk about your deck a little bit? Yeah. Also, you play Mana League? Yeah. Okay. You're like, why are you playing? Well, Grim Discovery's still in the deck, right? Yeah. Okay. Every time we're like, if you had a Grim Discovery right here, this would be good. So,
all right.
Yeah. You did? Although that forced down the loser.
Wasn't me.
Oh, wasn't it? Oh,
I thought, yeah, like, it took me a second to realize what you were doing.
So come in, Nate, when you're ready. But yeah, so he still runs Grim Discovery, just didn't draw him, and that is Mana League. So we'll hear it from the man himself why he's playing a Mana League. So, and also why he didn't draw Grim Discovery. That's probably the next thing we need to figure
The
out.
actual critical.
I was really excited to see a Grim Discovery.
All right. So our normal restream thing isn't working, so we're doing this
Where's the transition?
weird chat thing. So yeah, like I said, our backup match ended way fast. So Nate, how does it feel to have everything you try to do get answered?
Yeah, he literally went hellbent except for Termaggoyf to stop everything.
Yeah.
What do you wish had happened? Yeah.
I'll get it still.
There was one right outside the door.
I'll get it. Yep.
So, what should have happened? Well, I should have drawn lands in my opening 7. Would have been nice in either of those games, which I did not do. So that hurts. Went down on resources. Yeah, he had always had Wasteland, and I was like, if he doesn't have Wasteland this turn, I could probably piece something together. But he always had Wasteland that turn. Not drawing Grim Discovery, which was sweet. Yeah.
You kept talking about Grim Discovery.
Yeah, I have these 2 flex slots in the deck that I haven't quite settled on. I tried Stubborn Denial because I thought that'd be pretty sweet with Merit Lage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. That's interesting.
That didn't do anything. And then I just played a league where I had Recoil and Counter Squall. And the reason not to play actual counter spells is because sometimes you get stuck with like weird mana.
Yeah.
Which is why I have the Mana Leaks in there now.
Okay.
So today it's Mana Leak and Dispel. Dispel hits Diabolic Edict and stuff.
That makes sense. Dispel hits Sword Sponsor too.
Yeah, right, exactly. So anything that like in that matchup I was thinking I can dispel his Diabolic Edict, but he never really needed it.
Can you, if you're sitting down in a Legacy tournament and if someone tells you here's a decks that you don't want to see, I'm assuming like Dark Thresh and Canadian Thresh will have to be like at the top of the list.
Yeah, Stifle was more of a beating than I expected, and not all those decks play Stifle either.
The Grixis Delver ones don't anymore.
Yeah.
Neither do the American Delver decks. So.
Right. Yeah, it's good against other combo decks just because it's so overloaded on discard.
Yeah, sure.
And like any sort of like dirtly deck, you can usually just kind of hop on top of them. But yeah, Delver was pretty tough. I mean, he had that Delver from turn 1.
Yeah.
So I was on a 6-7 turn clock. The fact that I was able to try 3 times to to activate my Dark Depths,
just teasing you with the possibility almost get there.
Yeah, the deck hasn't. I went 5-1 with the deck in side events at Eternal Weekend.
Sure.
And then since then, I've won like 3 out of 10 matchups.
So you put in a Mana Leak and a
Dispel.
What are those flex spots? What did you take out from the list you posted online?
I went from a split of 2 Thoughtseize and 2 Inquisitions to just 3 Thoughtseizes. And I cut the Creeping Tar Pit and went to just 2 basics and 3 Underground Seas. And I also am playing a second Wasteland. I don't remember what that came in over. I might have cut another land too, just because I was kind of flooding a lot. Sure. And second Wasteland was good for like Caracas and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like I played against Miracles. Like I did pretty good against Miracles the first couple times I played it, and then like hit a league where I like lost to Miracles twice. So I don't know how the matchup is like 50-50, and like it just happened to win 50% in a row instead of one after the other. So I think the deck's okay. Why no green? Because I was in a bad mood and I wanted to try something different. I pulled out all of my green depths cards, and then I was like, I don't feel like doing this. I don't feel like just playing like a deck. So I pieced it together with the Baleful Strix is the most busted card.
We know, it's the best card, right?
Yeah,
so
it just does everything. It fixes all your problems.
What about Unearth? you ever consider?
Well, the thing about Grim Discovery is it gets back Hex Mage and Depths, which is pretty sweet. Right. And also, I had a game online where I had Grim Discovery getting back like a Wasteland and a Snapcaster Mage, and then Wasteland, and then Snap Grim Discovery got back the Wasteland and something else. Like that was pretty sweet. That was pretty sweet. Like loam locked someone.
It would have been great there, right?
Yeah, Grim Discovery would have been really good in that very particular matchup too, just because it would have been like a draw 2 when I was behind on cards by quite a lot. So, but yeah, I mean, sometimes just doesn't come together, and that happens. That was a pretty tough matchup. I think the Wasteland plus Stifle plus the Quick Clock,
plus having answer every time. Zach could have done it 3 different ways, I think, too.
Yeah,
there was a point where he had Force of Will, Daze, Force of Will, Spell Pierce, Stifle, and another Wasteland, and I think he Force of Willed your Hex Mage, and there was we were arguing what should he have done? Should he have done this to make you do this? So it was definitely an uphill battle, but it seemed like both games just one well-timed Grim Discovery may have been able to pull it out.
Just so you have another crack at it and force him to have more answers. Yeah, because I just was so far behind on cards, just going down.
All right, looks like we have pairings for round 2.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna go find
you get to play some more.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Hopefully,
have a good night.
Not against Stifle Wasteland.
I'm just going to give you a heads up. Trace is playing my Grixis Delver deck, and it runs 4 Stifle.
Okay. All right,
so Christian, I know, is on Miracles because I built Miracles.
Oh, there we go. Now you
can. Okay. So Christian's on Miracles. And Alfred, I've seen Alfred on just blue-white shells, whether it's Stoneblade or whether it's Miracle. So I'm not 100% sure, but we'll find out. So Stephen Reed beat Burn, so we don't know who this one.
Stephen and Trace.
So Trace it's weird because both of these are my decks. Okay, so on the left here you have Alfred, and on the right you have Christian playing Miracles. And then we have Steven, we don't know what he's on, and Trace is on Grixis Delver.
Miracles.
Yep, 100%. He's playing blue-white Miracles with 2 Entreats and 2 Jason, 2 Snapcaster.
All right. And then we'll actually take a peek at our backup match this time and find out what these guys are playing.
So Trace is on the... Ooh, I don't know. They both look similar. I can tell you once we see the hands too. Does that look? Yeah, that's Grixis Delver. I can see my Flooded Strand and Bitter Blossom. Okay. Which one do you want to?
We can stay here.
Okay.
Burn is interesting, but
I think is he on Burn? Do we know Steven's on Burn?
Yeah, he's on.
Okay. And this is I'm halfway right still. So Alfred Flooded Strand and got a Island, which makes me think he's on Miracles. Oh, yep, it's a Miracle. We got a Miracle.
Well, we can switch it.
Yeah, we can watch
this one will take a little longer, right? So
either way, I'm a fan of Blue Interaction on Blue Interaction.
Chat, do you have a preference?
You guys basically see the Miracles duel, or we have Burn versus Grixis Delver. So no one pipes up. We're gonna stay on Miracles for a little bit. And we're gonna Preordained versus Point. I wonder if they're both playing. The interesting thing here is
that Preordained could be a little different. Jay would watch Burn. Well, I mean, we don't want to know what you would do. We want to know what you want us to do.
So it looks like Alfred's on the Mentor plan. So another thing is we're gonna see. It looks like
all right. We're gonna switch.
Okay.
This match will happen.
Hey, look, there's a Goblin Guide attacking an Italian Delver.
That's brilliant.
Okay.
Oh, it's getting good.
Hey, there's a Portuguese Daze. I'm not sure how I know all these cards are in different languages, but I can tell you there was an Italian Flooded Strand into a Portuguese Delver followed by a Portuguese Daze, like Italian Delver. This is just an English Ponder.
Oh, that's boring.
So, biggest thing here is getting a 3/2 and being able to Daze the first thing is really, really good. Because Spell Pierce and Daze are really good in this matchup. So, it seems kind of strange to want to race burn, but if there's a deck that can kind of do it efficiently, it's a Delver deck.
Yeah.
And right when Steven's going to get priced into having to bolt this Delver, which is going to breathe a sigh of relief for Trace, because that's going to add another card for Gurmag Angler. Yep. Even if he doesn't have the Spell Pierce, not the worst thing in the world.
And then the big difference here is price of progress, right? Mm-hmm. Where Trace is going to potentially fetch into it, and
Trace can kind of play around it to an extent because he can wasteland himself, which we learned that you can wasteland a wasteland,
right?
Which baffles me, but it seems to be right. The more research I've done on it,
target your own wasteland with your wasteland.
Yeah, I still don't get it. It's like blatantly making an illegal play with it being okay. But so yeah, the biggest thing here is what I've kind of come to realize is the Grixis Delver players. You really just want to play to Gurmag as soon as possible, because Gurmag builds a big enough wall, and then True Name obviously is good, but as you kind of alluded to, True Name you kind of have to open up to price progress.
Yeah.
So even one turn of getting hit by 4 to 6 with price progress isn't going to be good. Another thing we learned, we can stifle Rift Bolts.
Yes.
And now that we know that Trace runs 4 stifles,
goes away.
So.
Goes away if you stifle at the right time. You don't stifle the removal of the counter, you stifle the cast trigger.
That's a Spanish Young Pyromancer.
Pyromancer. He's of age then, because in Spain.
Well, he's now burnt.
Yeah, that's kind of weird, running out a Young Pyromancer into a Rift Bolt, but I guess.
Again, it's
just not
2 mana, not take 3 damage.
Yeah. It's just so much nicer when you can get anything else out of a Young Pyro, right?
I almost felt like if he gets some value. I was thinking maybe he was going to force it even too. His Spell Pierce is good. One thing that kind of scares me, whenever you see burn stuck on one land, you kind of have to hope that they're drawing all their like Fire Blasts and multiples. But I mean, that's not a good sign, because it just means he's got just a lot of stuff. But
still doesn't find
here's a card that Trace has 2 of. It's not going to be very good in this matchup. Bitter Blossom.
He's got it main deck.
He's got 2 main deck.
Oh, interesting. A lot of spike. Take 5.
So he opts not to use the Spell Pierce, which I actually tend to agree with.
And then, so is he just going to run out of True Name Gnosis here next turn?
Interesting. That's also the 6th card, so maybe we're going to see a Gurmag next turn, and he wants to be able to keep up Spell Pierce and Wasteland, so he can Wasteland his land. I could see that being the play. And, without Deathrite and just having Bitter Blossom and having 2 Gurmags, once you cast the first Gurmag, Wastelanding your Underground Sea is not the worst thing in the world. It's not like you need the mana. You're going to be more apt to casting Lightning Bolt, probably. I just don't see a position where you want to cast Bitter Blossom in this matchup.
Well, now you can do it both, right?
Yeah, he's got 4 lands. There is a basic island in the deck, so, he may... He could always fail to find, but... Okay, so he's got the True Name. Also, if Trace is a Daze and the Spell Pierce stops the price of progress, so him opening himself up to price of progress here is probably perfectly okay. Because if Steven does it now, or during Trace, if Steven does it now, Trace will just fetch, get the basic island, Spell Pierce it, and if he waits for Trace's upkeep, then Trace will have enough mana tapped out. So.
Okay. Finally gets his 2nd mana, and he plays a 1-mana spell. Gotta imagine he's just sitting on.
He's got Chain Lightning. It looks like there's about 2 Chain Lightnings.
Yep.
There's another one.
Okay. So this True Name probably isn't attacking.
It's the best, probably the best wall you can get, though.
Yeah.
So.
Doesn't fly, but can't have it all.
That's true.
Another non-basic land.
I guess I guess the deck will just lose to like a Bogard and Hellkite when Burn plays it. So he's at 6. Oh, that's it. Exquisite Firecraft. Ooh. That's something you don't necessarily see mainboarded. At this point, Trace has got to start. Oh, he's going to use a Force. Okay.
Alright. He had enough mana to hardcast it, but he's just going to pitch it.
Chain Lightning.
He should copy the Chain Lightning. He actually could.
Yeah, actually could. Gosh, it's kind of sad. We know that he's got the exquisite Firecraft, so, Trace doesn't know this, but if this chain lightning resolves, he's dead, basically.
Yeah. Well, he needs another mountain, but yes. That's going to happen before.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Trace
I think.
deals 17 points of damage.
Well, that's Trace. He's got like a mini tendrils or something. Maybe he did. I don't know. Huh. You know what they're looking up?
Let's see, he wouldn't have been able to chain lightning. I think Steven uses sign language, so I think he's using his phone to communicate here.
Oh, okay.
He wouldn't have been able to chain lightning, copy the chain lightning and hit the Swiss spear, right? Because it would have been too big. So it just would have been 3 points to Steven's head, which probably isn't going to matter.
Okay. I mean, the worst part is if Steven blanks on mountains, he's probably going to draw a burn spell. Oh, hey. Wow. Flame Rift. Okay.
That's...
Spell Snare.
Okay.
All right.
As long as Trace draws counterspells for the rest of the game and Steven never sees another land.
If Steven draws... Yeah, it's like the worst one. Yeah, Trace needs to just go runner.
Aw, Delver doesn't flip.
That's not good.
Oh. Chain lightning. Got him.
I wasn't in a great position to be.
Alright, so Burn takes game 1.
Alright.
And then we're going to jump back over to our other match.
The real question is how many Jaces are resolved right now? 1. Oh, Jace on 9. That's not too good.
And Treat.
And Treat, that's going to meet a counterspell.
Why do we have so much glare suddenly? I thought we fixed glare. This is fun.
Okay. Alright.
This is a perfect time to jump back into Miracles. Nothing has happened until this moment.
Probably not. What?
So, Entreat from Christian says a counterspell for Alfred. Christian matches that with a Force of Will. And there's a dice. 3 angels.
The only thing here is Alfred's got a Terminus, so he could almost just not care. I'm surprised he actually thought over that, to be honest with you. Especially with the Terminus. If your opponent just taps out to play a bunch of handles while you have Terminus, I think you just say, I'll Terminus. This Terminus is not very good, I'm going to make good. You can also skip the time rounds because you know the game won't be over.
Oh, okay.
He's going the more methodical approach.
Not sure why.